My name's Chloe. I'm 36 years old, and life has taken me through some twists and turns. I've been married before, worked as a bartender, but now I'm a stay-at-home mom to a lively 3-year-old boy. Life is good now, but my first marriage was a disaster, mostly due to my ex-husband. But there was another factor. My younger sister, Jessica, who's just 2 years younger than me, managed to steal my then-husband right out from under my nose. This all happened 3 years ago. Just 2 months back, around New Year's, I ran into my ex and Jessica at church, of all places. When we told them that the child with us was fathered by my ex-husband, they were stunned. Their faces dropped, especially since I knew they were struggling to have a child themselves. It was a small moment of relief, a little payback for the betrayal they inflicted on me. Back then, I was bartending at a well-known bar, the kind of place frequented by politicians, bureaucrats, and business moguls. I had some experience bartending elsewhere, but landed this gig through a friend's introduction. After working there for a few months, I met the man who would become my ex-husband, a government official. I was around 30, thinking it was time to settle down. He was clearly smitten, telling me, "You're really cute, totally my type." I wasn't impressed by his bureaucratic status, but his flattery won me over. I remember him saying, "I would never do anything to make a beautiful woman like you sad." In hindsight, I deeply regret believing those words. Our marriage lasted only 2 years, and the only time I felt truly happy was during the first 2 months. Despite his demanding job, my ex-husband always came home with a smile, at first, but those smiles eventually faded. To cut to the chase, he was careless with his relationships with women, viewing all his social engagements as just another part of work. I later found out he had been flirting with women at every party he attended, though at the time, I had no idea. I used to greet him with, "You must be tired after all that networking today. Want to take a bath?" I thought I was being a supportive wife, but after just 6 months, he'd say, "Stop worrying about me, just be thankful you're living a good life because of me." I convinced myself he was just tipsy and let it slide. Looking back, I feel like crying from all the effort I put into our relationship. Jessica, my younger sister, and I couldn't be more different. Growing up, she always wanted what I had, my jewelry, my clothes, everything. If she couldn't get it from our mom, she'd just take it from me. When confronted, she'd cry and say, "But everything that belongs to you belongs to me." That little sister, who was a bully back then, grew up to be an adult bully. After a year of marriage, we attended a family event at my parents' house. My husband had seen Jessica a few times before, but this time they had a little chat. I overheard him tell her, "You're quite different from your sister, a different kind of beauty." From that moment, Jessica probably set her sights on my husband. After that, my husband seemed even more disinterested in me. When I'd suggest we go out, he'd dismiss me with, "Forget it, you know I'm not available, so why even ask?" I put up with it for a while because we both wanted a child. The love might have been gone, but the desire for a child remained. However, tests showed the problem lay with him, not me. Despite the diagnosis, we continued to seek treatment, and before I knew it, a year had passed. By then, I'd stopped worrying about what my husband was doing or where he was. I figured he was involved with other women, but I never imagined one of those women would be my own sister. I was utterly blindsided. It wasn't some dramatic revelation. It was Jessica, casually saying, "You know, sis, your marriage is pretty much over. But if you're not careful, you'll lose more than just your marriage," Jessica hinted with a sly smile. "What are you saying? Don't tell me whatever happens, it's your fault," she continued, her words dripping with both naivety and malice. Seeing Jessica like this after so long sent chills down my spine. After that conversation, I confronted my husband, desperate for the truth. "Hey, you're not having an affair with my sister, are you? Tell me it's not true." "What if I am?" he replied, dodging my question. "Don't dodge the question. Just tell me," I pressed. "God, you're so annoying." "Fine, yes, I am." "So what now? Want a divorce?" "You're the worst. Do you even realize what you're doing? You should be saying that to your sister. She's the one who came on to me. Even if she did, why would you go along with it?" "Well, I'm a guy. Can't help it," he said nonchalantly. "I can't believe you're doing this with Jessica. You know what? Fine, we're done." We were always over anyway. Even though the love between us had been gone for a while, Learning he cheated with Jessica was a hard pill to swallow. The casual way he admitted it felt like both of them were mocking me. The frustration was unbearable. I divorced him right after this shocking truth came to light. As for Jessica, I cut her off with a simple email and chose to leave it all behind. About a month later, an unexpected turn came my way. A former colleague from my finance days reached out. We were connected on social media and occasionally exchanged messages, but it had been a long time since we met for drinks. We caught up and had a great time. Although my story was grim, she laughed it off and mentioned someone she wanted to introduce me to. Enter Ethan, my current husband. Ethan was her investment buddy. He was just an average office worker, but had a knack for investing, managing a significant portfolio. They'd become friends through offline meetups she organized based on his investment blog. I took an instant liking to the upbeat Ethan. "I've been divorced before, is that all right?" I asked. "I'm still single, is that okay?" he replied with a smile. We both just laughed it off. Ethan and I clicked right away, and we started dating almost immediately. After about 6 months, we got married. "Chloe, want to invest in me, marry me?" Ethan asked with a grin during his unique proposal. I couldn't help but laugh. His proposal felt right, like something that would lead to happiness for the rest of our lives. The truth is, I was already pregnant with Ethan's child even before we got married. Actually, shortly after we started dating, we'd both been considering marriage, so finding out about the pregnancy sped up the timing. 2 people in love and a precious baby, the fruit of our love. I couldn't be happier. For our first holiday season together, Ethan suggested, "Let's go to church and pray for the health of our adorable baby." The fact that everything happened so quickly must be destiny, don't you think? "Sounds good, yes, let's go," I agreed. In the midst of our newfound happiness, something unexpected happened at the church we were attending for service. Guess who we ran into? My ex-husband and Jessica. Seeing them together for the first time in over a year, they really seemed like a married couple. I had already told Ethan all the miserable details about these two. "Hey, I'm going to talk to them. Is that okay?" I asked Ethan. "I don't mind. You sure you're okay with it?" "Yeah, I'm fine. Look, I'll explain later, but can you play along that this baby is my ex's child?" As my ex-husband and Jessica approached us, we pretended not to notice and walked up to them. "Wow, what a coincidence. It's been ages, sis," I said, trying to sound casual. Jessica's face, which I hadn't seen in a long time, seemed even more twisted than before. "How nice to see you two looking so happy together," I added. "We are. We're officially married now," she replied smugly. "Nice to meet you," Ethan chimed in. "I've heard so much about you." "Really? Like what?" Jessica asked, suspiciously. "Anyway, why'd you go and have a baby with this guy? He doesn't look like he's got much of a future." "Poor kid," my ex-husband sneered. "Don't ever become the type of person who can only judge others by their looks or titles, okay?" Ethan said, speaking as if to the baby. "But if you're not careful, you'll lose more than just your marriage." Jessica hinted with a malicious edge. "What are you saying? Don't tell me you," I began, but Jessica's tone made it clear she intended to shift the blame. "You're responsible for this," she snapped. Seeing Jessica's smugness after so long sent chills down my spine. I confronted my husband directly. "Hey, are you having an affair with my sister? Just tell me it's not true." "What if I am?" he shot back, avoiding the question. "Don't dodge it. Just tell me," I insisted. "God, you're so annoying." "Fine, yes I am." "So what? Want a divorce?" "You're the worst. Do you even realize what you're doing? You should be saying that to your sister. She's the one who came on to me. Even if she did, why would you go along with it?" "Well, I'm a guy. Can't help it," he said dismissively. "I can't believe you're doing this with Jessica. You know what? Fine, we're done." We were always over anyway. Bye. Even though our love had been long gone, learning he cheated with Jessica was a tough blow. His casual admission felt like a mockery. The frustration was overwhelming. I divorced him immediately and cut off Jessica with a terse email. About a month later, an unexpected twist occurred. A former finance colleague reached out. We were connected on social media but hadn't met for drinks in a while. We caught up and had a great time. Despite my grim story, she laughed it off and mentioned someone she wanted to introduce me to. Enter Ethan, my current husband. Ethan was her investment buddy, an average office worker with a knack for managing a significant portfolio. They become friends through her offline meetups. I liked Ethan immediately. I've been divorced before. Is that okay? I asked. I'm still single. Is that all right? He replied with a grin. We both laughed. Ethan and I clicked instantly and started dating right away. 6 months later, we got married. Chloe, want to invest in me? Marry me? Ethan proposed, his unique way of asking. I laughed and felt this was the start of a happy life together. I was pregnant with Ethan's child even before we married. We'd both been thinking about marriage, and the pregnancy sped up the timeline. 2 people in love and a baby, our little miracle. I couldn't be happier. For our first holiday season together, Ethan suggested, let's go to church and pray for our baby's health. The fact that everything happened so quickly must be destiny, don't you think? Sounds perfect. Yes, let's go, I agreed. During the church service, something unexpected happened. We ran into my ex-husband and Jessica. They looked like a married couple, and I had already told Ethan everything about them. Hey, I'm going to talk to them. Is that okay? I asked Ethan. I don't mind. Are you sure you're okay with it? Yeah, I'm fine. Just play along and pretend this baby is my ex's. As my ex and Jessica approached us, we acted like we hadn't noticed and greeted them. What a coincidence. It's been ages, sis, I said casually. Jessica's face, which I hadn't seen in a long time, looked even more twisted. How nice to see you two looking so happy together, she said with a forced smile. We are. We're officially married now, she added, trying to impress. Nice to meet you, Ethan chimed in. I've heard so much about you. Really? Like what? Jessica asked. Why'd you have a baby with this guy? He doesn't look like he's got much of a future. Poor kid, my ex-husband sneered. Don't judge others by their looks or titles. You should start doing good deeds like volunteering or donating to charities. Since you're at church, why not pray for that? Ethan retorted, addressing them indirectly. You can't be serious. There's no way I'm letting this guy raise my special child. He comes from a line of bureaucrats. This can't happen. Jessica said, visibly rattled and on the verge of tears. Look, I talked to Mom. This guy's just an office worker raising a child with a man who doesn't make much. That's just asking for the kid to be unhappy. And don't forget, the child's biological father is from our family. Shouldn't we have the right to raise them? Am I wrong? She asked desperately. Absolutely. Even after the divorce, if you knew you were pregnant, you had a responsibility to tell me. After all, it's my child, my ex said. You think someone like you can raise a child? Don't kid yourself. You don't have the right to know, let alone raise this child, Ethan said firmly. Hey, stop this ugly argument in front of the baby. You abandoned Chloe and this child. Remember, as Chloe said, you have no obligation to be informed or involved. And for your information, I might be an office worker, but I've done well in investments. I actually have more assets than you. I don't mean to brag, but don't worry, this child won't be unhappy. Shall we go, Chloe? Ethan asked. Yeah, take care, especially you two, the careless womanizer and the greedy one. Ignoring the flustered and frustrated pair, we left the church. I'm sorry you got caught up in this, and thank you for going along with me, I said to Ethan. No problem at all. Honestly, I'm impressed with how well you handled it. That was some award-winning acting. I fell for you all over again, he replied. I never thought I'd end up at church for the sake of this child, let alone run into my ex and Jessica. But thanks to that encounter, I was able to get some satisfaction from my ex-husband and Jessica. I was secretly waiting for this moment, the chance to make them squirm with a lie about the baby being my ex's. I'm fully aware it's a cruel lie, but considering the heartless things they've done to me, I have no regrets. It was necessary for my sanity. Mom, you don't have to tell Jessica about me, okay? You know the situation, I said. Oops, my bad, but what happened to that girl? Mom asked. Don't worry about it. I'm sorry for all the worry I've caused you. It's okay as long as you're healthy and happy. You're getting along with your current partner, right? Absolutely. I'm actually scared of how happy I am. Having daughters who've swapped the same man as their husband would have been a big worry for Mom. I was concerned about how this could strain her heart, especially since she's living alone in the family home after Dad passed away. When I mentioned this to Ethan, he suggested we move in with Mom. Are you sure? I really like your mom, Chloe. She's a fun person. Living with her would be like having two clothes around. It'll be fun. Well, should I take that as a compliment? I laughed, realizing how understanding Ethan is. Plus, Mom would be thrilled to see a grandchild every day. And we have an extra pair of hands to help with the baby. I can't thank you enough, Ethan. So you love me even more now? I asked. Let me think about that. What do you mean, let you think? The peak of happiness is still ongoing.